It's time for Losses Above Replacement, the best baseball podcast to grace your ears, with your hosts, Alex.
Gosh, I have so many questions. Also, where's my car?
Splash.
Strive to love something as much as my grandmother loves buying new crock pots.
And MAK.
If you've ever been to Boston, you know that they have amazing ice cream.
Coming to you from coast to coast, it's L-A-R.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Losses Above Replacement, the greatest baseball podcast to grace ears. I'm today's host, Matthias Altman Kursaki, and with me, we have only one co-host today, just a two-man crew. It's Ryan Splash Potts. Alex could not join us today. But Splash, we're recording earlier in the day today. It's Thursday afternoon. How are we doing today?
Yeah, hello, Mac. I'm doing okay. I'm ready to watch the Dolphins beat the Bills, which is not going to happen in a million years. It's nice to record a little earlier in the day. I don't have to rush into work afterwards. So that's nice. Maybe Alex should consider moving his work day up earlier in the day, but I'm kidding. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. It's really nice out today. I'll say that much. I went to the Mets game yesterday. I think my luck may have run out because they won 10 of the first 11 games I went to. They've lost the last 3. I mean, it was still a fun time. They surpassed 3 million fans yesterday for the first time since 2009. So they gave everyone who went to the game yesterday a free ticket voucher for a game in 2026. So that's pretty cool. I will say, despite their struggles, they're still drawing upwards of 40,000 fans a game, which is, I know it was a big point for Steve Cohen coming into this year was to improve attendance. And I think he's done just that. I mean, it feels like every time I go to the yard, whether they're playing well or they're playing poorly, it's a pretty full house. So that was fun. And the Mets played this afternoon. They took their series from San Diego. So it was a step in the right direction, feeling slightly better after a disastrous 8-game losing streak. So yeah, that's how things are going on my side of things. Like I said, it's a beautiful day in New York today. We have gotten a brief stretch of nice weather as we tune up for fall, which officially begins this weekend, and which also reminds me that I will be going away at the end of next week. I will be going to Colorado and then over to Santa Barbara. I don't believe the Rockies are in town while I'm there, which is unfortunate because I believe this is going to be the last time I get to go out there before my sister moves back home. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to going out to Colorado. I love going out to the Rocky Mountain area. And Santa Barbara is great. I get to see my 2-month-old nephew. So, we did get some big news out of the West Coast about an hour ago, less than an hour ago, probably. Clayton Kershaw, one of the all-time greats, is hanging it up at the end of the year, at the end of an 18-year career. He retires as a 3-time Cy Young Award winner, 11-time All-Star, and an MVP. I know that some people have their quibbles with him about his postseason performance, but really, I think he goes down as one of the all-time greats, arguably the best left-handed pitcher we've ever seen. So, Splash, just give me your thoughts on Kershaw's career and where do you have him among the all-time greats?
If you're making a list of greatest left-handed pitchers of all time, there is a reasonable argument that Clayton Kershaw is the first name on your list. I know there are players that got to 300 wins and players who struck out more batters, and I get that. But when it comes to the name of the game, not allowing other teams to score runs on you, Clayton Kershaw is as good of a pitcher we have ever seen. His ERA plus for his career is 154. Here is the comprehensive list of players who, with 1,000 innings with a better ERA plus than 154. Mariano Rivera, he's a reliever. Bill Foster, a Negro Leagues player. Bullet Rogan, another Negro Leagues player. Clayton Kershaw. End of list. So the name of the game is run prevention. Clayton Kershaw is the greatest starting pitcher in the history of the game at preventing runs, particularly on the left side. Pedro Martinez is tied with him at 154, but Kershaw has been brought down the last 2 years. Jacob deGrom is at 151. Jim Devlin, who pitched in the 1800s, 150. Satchel Paige, the GOAT, 150. The best lefty is Lefty Grove, of course, at 148. So, like I said, the name of the game is run prevention. There is no starter ever, no lefty ever better at run prevention than Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah, and he was able to do this without necessarily being a fireballer, which is crazy to say because he was a strikeout artist very much so in his prime. I mean, he led the league in strikeouts 3 separate times. He topped out at 301 in this season. He struck out at least 200 batters from 2010 to 2015 every single year, and then again in 2017. So, and he's over 3,000 strikeouts for his career. His 162 game average is 229 strikeouts in 215 innings. So that's over a strikeout per 9. It's a strikeout to walk ratio of over 4-1 for his career. I mean, this is really across the board, just a really complete pitcher. He didn't walk a lot of batters. He kept the ball in the yard for the most part. Like I said, he got a lot of strikeouts, but the hardest he ever averaged on his fastball was 95, which is solid. Obviously, that's still throwing kind of hard, but you look at guys, there are a lot of starting pitchers these days who are averaging in the high 90s. And this is a guy who, when he started getting injured in 2016, his fastball velocity dropped pretty significantly, basically every year, but he was able to adapt, start throwing his slider more, not really leaning on his fastball so much. And he also has, in my opinion, the greatest curveball of all time. That is, I've said this before. I went to a Sunday night game, Mets-Dodgers at Citi Field, and he started, and I was sitting in the upper deck, and I could see the drop on his curveball from the upper deck. That's just unheard of, what he had out there. And this is the thing is that 2016, which was the year that he started getting hurt, he was having one of the best seasons of all time. I mean, at the time of his injury, he had a 169, so at the end of the season, this is after the injuries, he still, by the way, in 21 starts threw a major league leading 3 shutouts. He had a 1.69 ERA. He had 172 strikeouts against only 11 walks. That is a 15.64 strikeout to walk ratio. It's really unfortunate that we didn't get to see him complete that season. He still finished 5th in Cy Young voting that year, despite only making 21 starts and throwing 149 innings. So truly an amazing career. And this is a first ballot Hall of Famer. I wouldn't be surprised if he's like a unanimous Hall of Famer too. I know some people may knock him for his postseason performance, but if you're not voting for Clayton Kershaw to get into the Hall of Fame, I can't help you.
Yeah, if you don't like Kershaw can you, in all honesty, vote for any other pitcher to make the Hall of Fame? Because if you want to compare him to his peers, the Justin Verlander and the Max Scherzers of the world, Kershaw is right there with them. There's no real argument for Verlander or Scherzer to be leaps and bounds better than Kershaw.
He's better than them in a lot of ways.
Exactly. And you can perhaps say that Scherzer was better in the playoffs. He was more impactful in 2019 when the Nationals won the World Series. Okay, I guess. Or he won a second ring with the Rangers in 2023. You know what? I guess Verlander has won 2 with the Astros. Okay, I get it. But that to me is maybe a little bit of icing, but on a worse piece of cake. Like, there's a reason Kershaw is compared favorably to Sandy Koufax. I have the graphic up on screen, so check out the YouTube. But just consider for a moment the rich tapestry of Dodger pitching, and Clayton Kershaw is the best. You could maybe argue Koufax peaked higher. That's an argument for another time. But Kershaw is the greatest Dodger pitcher to ever live, and arguably, probably the greatest Dodger to ever live. Even on something like WAR that you can look at, it's Clayton Kershaw is at the top of the list. He's ahead of Pee Wee Reese and Don Drysdale and Duke Snyder and Jackie Robinson and Zach Wheat and Dazzy Vance. I'll pull that up now. But Clayton Kershaw is the greatest Dodger of all time, the greatest Dodger pitcher of all time, the greatest lefty of all time. That's arguable. I'll give you that one. He's one of the easiest Hall of Fame inductions we've had. And we've had quite a few, and we will have more with Pujols's, the Cabreras, the Verlanders, the Kershaws, the Trouts of the world coming soon. But Kershaw is a slam dunk Hall of Famer. If you're not letting him in, your Hall of Fame is basically Babe Ruth and Hank Aaron and Willie Mays. That's about it, frankly.
Yeah, and like you were saying, Splash, is that he could go down as the greatest Dodger of all time. I mean, he's played 18 seasons, all for them, which ties Bill Russell, not the basketball player, the infielder, for the most seasons played for them. I mean, 18 seasons, all with one team. And I remember there were so many conversations about, will Kershaw sign with another team? Will he go sign with the Rangers? He's from the Dallas area. Like, would he ever leave Los Angeles? And to me, it would just look weird if he ever wore a uniform other than Dodger blue. And I'll add one more thing for the old school guys. His career winning percentage is .698, 222 wins against 96 losses. Do you know how ridiculous that is? And it goes beyond, he was just on a really good team. Yeah, he was on some amazing Dodgers teams. But at the same time, to win that often, that means he's putting his team in position to win almost every time he took them out. I mean, he won nearly 70% of his games. That's just, it's really unheard of. But any other thoughts on Kershaw? I mean,
yeah, like this leaderboard list, these are the Dodgers. They have been around since the 1800s. Kershaw leads them in total WAR, in pitching WAR, in strikeouts, and these adjusted stats, the adjusted pitching runs, adjusted pitching wins, stuff like that. ERA, he's 6th, and these are guys that played well before him or were a reliever in Kenley Jansen's case, or Zach Greinke had like 3 seasons with the Dodgers. A .698 winning percentage. Yeah, Tony Gonsolin, Julio Urias did not throw as much as Kershaw. Zach Greinke did not throw as much as Kershaw, at least with the Dodgers. Then Preacher Rowe is a player from the early 1900s. This is just an absurd list. And you look at WHIP, Clayton Kershaw is number 2. You look at hits per 9, Kershaw is number 4. You look at walks per 9. Kershaw is not on this list, but his walk rate is very low. And even strikeouts per 9, he's 4th. This is reliever, a guy who played very little for the Dodgers. Clayton Kershaw, then Walker Buehler, Koufax, Urias, Nomo. He's one of, I think the conversation could end there. He's one of the greatest players of all time.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, when I think of like the best lefties, especially, he comes up immediately up there with names like Steve Carlton and Randy Johnson. And you can throw Koufax in there. Johan Santana, I know had a shorter prime, but he was super dominant in his peak. It's crazy to think about it because my brother was at Kershaw's second big league start. It was at Shea Stadium. He gave a home run to Luis Castillo, not known as a power hitter. Granted, he was batting right-handed, which was his stronger side, but it was one of those things where I'm like, oh, yeah, this is who everyone's excited about. He just gave up a home run to a light-hitting second baseman. And then I remember the next time he faced the Mets, he absolutely carved them up. And it's worth noting that he never lost a single game in the regular season against the Mets. The Mets did get him one time in the playoffs, but it was insane. Every time he took them out, I feel like that for a while I had to watch. It's kind of like watching Paul Skeens right now, or like Jacob deGrom in the late 2010s and early 2020s. I mean, he was must-see TV every time he took them out.
Is there any better aesthetic in baseball than listening to Vin Scully call a Clayton Kershaw game?
Oh, it was, exactly. That was like another added bonus. I mean, you get to watch one of the greatest of all time on the mound, and you get to listen to one of the greatest all time in the booth. So, yeah, it was it made it that much better, in my opinion. But anyways, let's move on. We're going to stick in the National League today. We are the National League side of things here. We do have a bit of a standings update. Since we last recorded, the Phillies clinched the National League East, running away with it. They are so far the only team to clinch a division title in either league. The Brewers have wrapped up their postseason spot. They have not clinched their division yet. And the Cubs also are heading back to the postseason for the first time since 2020 and the first time in a full season since 2018. The rest of it goes as follows. The Padres have the second spot, 2.5 back of the Dodgers for the division lead because they just lost. They are 4 up on the Mets, who have a 2-game lead on the Diamondbacks, 2.5 game lead on the Reds, and a 2.5 game lead on the Giants. The Mets have the tiebreaker over the Giants, but as of right now, the Diamondbacks have a tiebreaker on them, and the Reds have the tiebreaker on the Mets too. The Cardinals have fallen out of the race, kind of. They're 5 back, and that's about where it wraps up. So looking ahead, we have about 9 games left, or 10 at most. What's your general take on the National League wildcard race?
I think the Mets close it out. I know they had a little 8-game skid on the last couple weeks, but the Reds, Diamondbacks, Giants continue to trip over themselves. They have games against each other, and they'll split those series. And I think the Mets have the clearest path here. I'll pull up the Fangraphs odds momentarily, but they have the cleanest path. They're not relying on other people. They're not relying on other teams to win games, lose games. So to me, they have the easiest path towards the playoffs.
And I'll add this, which I understand the Diamondbacks have played well after selling off at the deadline, but they have to face the Phillies, Dodgers, and Padres to close the season. And the Dodgers and Padres will probably have something to play for. And heck, the Phillies have something to play for too, in my opinion. They're trying to get that 1 seed. The Reds have to face the Cubs and Brewers. Okay, by that point, maybe neither of those teams have anything to play for. The Giants still have to face the Dodgers 4 times starting today. Those teams have pretty tough schedules. The Mets got through the Padres today. They took 2 out of 3 from San Diego, which is a big, big boost for them, especially after how poorly they played against the Phillies in Philly and how poorly they played against the Rangers over the weekend. Now they get 3 against the Nationals. They have to take care of business against the Nationals. It's been a huge issue this year. They've played down the competition a lot. And they have to take care of those games against the Marlins. But ideally, those games in Miami don't matter. It'll be interesting to see if those games against the Cubs matter. If the Cubs are still fighting for a playoff spot, they're fighting for the division title, then they will be going full throttle. But more than likely, the Cubs will be that 4 seed in the NL. But yeah, I think the Mets, like you said, they have a clearer path to the playoffs. They only have one real tough opponent coming up. Granted, the Marlins always tend to play them well. And I still have scars from 07 and 08 when the Marlins sent them packing at the end of the year. So I think these 3 teams probably stay put. I am curious to see, though, if the Padres can catch the Dodgers. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it feels like the Dodgers have kind of let the Padres hang around this whole time, even though it's clear on paper the Dodgers are the superior roster. Right. Is there any chance you think that either of these other divisions see lead changes? Because it seems unlikely, but there's still a chance. The door is open.
Maybe next week when we talk about the American League, there might be some shaking up in the American League Central. But, I mean, Philly's clinched already. Milwaukee is right behind them. And I think the Dodgers will end up taking the NL West. The Padres just lost to the Mets. That's not exactly ideal. You need to win games to catch the Dodgers. I will say the Dodgers get to face a desperate Arizona team next week after Arizona plays Philly. So a couple playoff rematches there for the Diamondbacks. But I think the Dodgers will hold out and win the division over the Padres. To wrap up the season, they have San Francisco for 4 at Chavez Ravine, then they're in Arizona for 3 and in Seattle for 3. For Alex's sake, maybe that Seattle series at the end doesn't count or doesn't matter for the Dodgers. They'll have locked up in all likelihood the number 3 seed, and we'll be looking for, hey, we want our number 1, number 2, number 3 good to go when we play the no one believes in us 6 seed, which could be the Mets. And that's a team that the Dodgers faced last year in the playoffs, and a spot the Dodgers have, obviously not last year, but a spot the Dodgers have lost in, that they lost a short series to the Diamondbacks. They lost a short series to the Padres. So they're going to be on high alert to go back to back.
Yeah, and I'll say this much, obviously, now that I think about it, I'm going to be away when the playoffs begin, but I'm actually going to be in California. If the Mets, I highly doubt I'll be able to go to Mets Dodgers if it happens. But the other thing is that I look at the Mets roster, and I think in a 3-game series, they actually look pretty good on paper. Mm-hmm. It's when you get to those 5 and 7 game series where things get kind of scary for them because of their pitching staff. But the only reason that I think that the Mets pitchers could have enough to make a deep enough run is that there are a lot of off days in the postseason. And the biggest issue for them has been their bullpen has been so heavily taxed because outside of the 3 rookies, nobody's really given them length. They tried the new thing recently with Clay Holmes and Sean Manaea piggybacking off each other, and actually it worked pretty well. So the National League is interesting. The American League, we'll get to them next week, but it feels like there isn't a real favorite this year. I think it's fair to say every team sort of has a weakness. It's kind of crazy.
And when your best team in the league, Milwaukee, 93 wins right now, it's frankly Milwaukee. You know, if that was the 93 win juggernaut Dodgers, I think we would feel a lot better about it, if that makes sense. Sort of. And in the American League, it's a lot of the same thing with the Tigers being Tigers and Blue Jays being on top, and you think to yourself, if you close your eyes and you do the Bill Simmons confetti test, can you see, Detroit lifting the Commissioner's Trophy this season? Can you see Toronto lifting the Commissioner's Trophy this season? Yeah, I don't know, right? But if it was the Dodgers or Phillies or Yankees, then you're like, oh yeah, absolutely, they're going to win everything, right? There's that, built-in bias is probably the wrong word, but even on FanDuel, the National League favorite plus 210 Phillies, plus 290 Dodgers, plus 340 Brewers, plus 700 Cubs, Padres 850, Mets plus 950, and then the Reds, D-backs, Giants, Cardinals are way down the list. So I think part of that plays a role, like psychologically, when we see, the Phillies. Okay, we've seen them in the playoffs the last 2 years. The Dodgers, they just won the World Series, but the Brewers, they haven't been to the NLCS since 2018. They've never won a World Series, so there's sort of I don't know. At least I feel psychologically that it's not as wrapped up as it might be if you just flip the win total around with the Dodgers and Brewers.
Yeah, the Brewers don't even have a National League pennant because their only World Series was as an American League team. They lost in 7 games to the Cardinals in '82. But I mean, the Brewers are such a fascinating team because really they don't have like a ton of superstar power. I feel like, but they churn out wins every year. It's like there's no rhyme or reason, but they somehow will magically win over 90 games every single year, no matter who's on their roster.
Quinn Priester has turned into a really good pitcher for them.
They haven't lost one of his starts in 4 months.
13-2, 3.25 ERA. They've turned him into an elite pitcher, at least this season. You have Turang, who's an oddly shaped, terrific player. We talk about WAR, right? Well, WAR highlights that and says Bryce Turang, an elite defensive second baseman who steals a ton of bases and hits for some average, walks enough, not much power in the profile.
Huge month of August.
Yeah, exactly. More power in August than the rest of his career. So a 121 OPS plus doesn't jump off the page, and OPS below 800 doesn't jump off the page, but 5 wins above replacement does. William Contreras, not as good of an offensive season as he had in years past. He's at 4 WAR. Freddie Peralta leads the National League, leads the majors, in fact, and wins 5.4 WAR. He's been excellent this season. So you have the pieces there, but it's the Brewers. We do need to see it. This is the team that lost a home playoff game to the Mets last year to break their season.
2 home playoff games, but yes.
Fair. Lost a home playoff series to the Mets last year. Devin Williams, he's not your problem anymore, so maybe they'll get it done. I don't know.
Yeah, and now that I think about it, they haven't won a postseason series since 2018.
Yep.
The
Rockies.
Yeah. They swept the Rockies, and then they almost beat the Dodgers. That NLCS. I feel like the 2018 Brewers were arguably the best Brewers team we've seen, at least in the National League. 2011 team was great, obviously, with Braun and Fielder.
The 2008 team, based on CC Sabathia's hope and prayers.
CC Sabathia, yeah. And also, I mean, that was another Braun had another monster year that year. But 2018, that was the year Yelich was MVP. He nearly won the Triple Crown. Jesus Aguilar was really good. Mike Moustakas, I remember they picked up that year. They were a really, really tough out. And then their bullpen with Hader and Jeffress and Knable and Soria. They had so many guys. This year's team, I feel like, honestly, I'd take the 2018 team over this year's team. But anything can happen in October. And we'll get to the American League next year, but boy, the Tigers are, I hate to say this, they're entering 2007 Mets territory. They had a 6.5 game lead entering this week, and it's down to 3.5. We'll get to that next week, but that division is not over at all. The National League West, I'd say, isn't over. I feel like the National League Central, as much as I like to think the Cubs maybe have a run in them, they're 5 back. I don't expect anything to change here.
The Brewers have at least on Fangraphs, a 98% chance to win the division.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, the West, the Dodgers are 94%. Then even if you jump over to the AL West, we have some chaos here, but we'll get to that next week. And the Central, the Tigers were as high as 99%, 99.8% last Thursday. So you are looking at the inverse of the graph last year, and I'll show the graph last year with the Tigers. Let's see, make the playoffs. The Tigers graph, folks, that they're basically doing what they did last year in reverse. They had
which is not a good thing.
No, 0.2% chance to make it on August 10th. They make it September 27th.
I mean, I expected by now they would have wrapped up the division. I was just thinking because again, AL we'll talk more about next week, but the Red Sox close out with a series against the Tigers, and I was thinking out loud, just like, the Tigers by then probably will have clinched the division. Well, actually, we don't know. But anyways, we're going to shift over to some awards. Obviously, they come out at the end of the year, but we have been keeping tabs on Silver Sluggers and Gold Gloves this year. So I say let's start in the field here.
Sure.
We start National League Gold Gloves. Let's go ahead and start catcher, and I think this one's pretty obvious. Do you have anyone other than Patrick Bailey winning this?
Patrick Bailey is the best defensive catcher in baseball to me.
Sorry,
Alex.
Yeah, easily.
Sorry, Toronto fans. He's just an exceptional player, and he's another player that WAR, I think, tells a great story of that. When you look at the counting stats, the hitting stats that Patrick Bailey does, it's bad. It's not good. But then you look defensively, he is tremendous. +4 blocks above average, +7 caught stealing above average, +18 framing. That's the best in baseball. He has an elite pop time, and he's a guy that year in and year out is in this discussion for being one of the best defensive players in baseball. He's in it once again, and I think he deserves to win probably the Platinum Glove in the National League.
I was going to say that.
He's +30 fielding run value. No one is within 10 in the National League. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I want him to be able to hit more. I feel like every year we see glimpses of it, that he could be a good hitter. And he's only a 68 WRC plus, but if he could just get that even up to like 90 or 95, we're looking at a guy who can get MVP votes. Bailey's the runaway. Like you said, I think he should be the Platinum Glove winner too. And frankly, I think it'll happen. I mean, I feel like catchers tend to get that award.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, let's slide over to first base. And I have one of your guys, Matt Olson. I think he's the best. Ty France is really good in the American League, but I think Matt Olson has for a while been I've been consistently over the years. I think he's been the best defensive first baseman in baseball. And I think this year he doesn't really have much of a contemporary, at least in the National League.
Yeah, and you look at the Baseball Savant leaderboards, Olson leads everyone with +7. Ty France is also at +7, but he's not in this conversation as for National Leaguers. You look at defensive runs saved, Olson is +16, followed by Carlos Santana at +12, Spencer Steer at +8. And unfortunately, Christian Walker has not had a particularly great season. The last few years, he'd been elite defensively. But this year, it's time for Matt Olson to win his first Gold Glove on the National League side. He had 2 back in Oakland in 2018 and 2019. And, Olson is building he has the reputation of being an elite defensive first baseman. He had about a week stretch early on in his Braves tenure that he made 2 or 3 errors and it looked pretty bad. But for his career, he's +89 defensive runs saved. He has 4 seasons with at least 10. He had +13 last year. And there is an argument he goes down as like this generation's Keith Hernandez, this generation's like Don Mattingly type that just reliable glove at first base, stalwart player.
Yeah, and he plays nearly every day. I mean, I can't remember the last time Matt Olson asked for a day off.
2021.
Exactly, that's the point. I mean, he, like I said, he takes the field every day. He does a great job there. He hits, he fields. And we're looking at a guy who has. Oh, by the way, he's over the Baines meter. I know that's a big deal in today's generation, but yeah, we're looking at a guy who probably will be a Hall of Famer. I think. I know he doesn't really get mentioned in those conversations, but he's had an excellent career. But let's move over to second base. And this one I thought was close, but looking at the numbers, I think there's a runaway here. Who do you have at second base?
I have Nico Horner, top 5 second baseman in the league. Runs away with the Baseball Savant page, plus 11 fielding runs. The next closest national leaguer is Xavier Edwards. He's at plus 6. And defensive runs saved, he's at plus 16. The next is Xavier Edwards at plus 10. And he's won a Gold Glove before. He's in a great middle of the diamond duo or trio, frankly, with PCA, Dansby, and of course himself. Just a tremendous player. And the classic example of move a good defensive shortstop over to second base and they become like an elite defensive player. And, Horner was awesome at second or awesome at short. Then he goes over to second to accommodate Dansby Swanson, immediately wins a Gold Glove. And this year, I think he should win another Gold Glove.
Yeah. And I agree because, Bryce Terang, who we mentioned earlier, in the past has been an excellent defensive second baseman, and defensive runs saved tells you he's still above average. He's still 7 defensive runs saved, but he's actually below average by outs above average, which I think is interesting. I still think of him as a pretty slick fielding infielder. And another guy who was a shortstop originally, now playing second base. I really think that Horner and Swanson duo, it's hard to get anything past those guys in Chicago. So I think Horner gets it here at second base. And then sliding over to the hot corner, I guess we call this a resurgence. Keep Ryan Hayes. Boy, I mean, I knew his bat would pick it up in Cincinnati. His defensive numbers are really, really nice this year. 21 outs above average. That's a huge bounce back for him. It's not like he was bad necessarily last year, but only 6 outs above average, 6 fielding run value, and 10 defensive runs saved. This year, he has 19 defensive runs saved and also 17 fielding run value. So I think, again, it was one where in my head, I was like, it might be close. I look at the numbers. It's really not that close.
And of course, the greatest defensive third baseman I've ever seen continues to be great. What a shocker. He won the Gold Glove back in 2023, has deserved it multiple times in his career. But this year, it's not even that he's the best. It's that he's lapping the field. In terms of fielding run value, he's at plus 17. Next closest national leaguer, Matt Chapman, at plus 6. You look at defensive runs saved, he's at plus 19. Matt Shaw is second at plus 13 with 300 fewer innings. So it's a runaway for me, and Hayes is going to be in that conversation for the Platinum Glove even.
Yeah, and again, there's a chance I think he can get it. I feel like, again, third base, we saw Matt Chapman win it before. This is a possibility here with Hayes. He's like a vacuum over there. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets it. But let's move over left field again.
Oh, we forgot shortstop.
Oh, right. Wow, I'm smart.
The one, the one we can really have a conversation about.
So yeah, shortstop. There are a lot of candidates here, actually. It took me a minute to decide on this one. So who do you have at shortstop?
Unfortunately, it's not Nick Allen. I do want to sing his praises for a moment because he reminded Braves fans of the Andrelton Simmons days. Of course, he does it a little bit differently than Simmons, but just a fabulous season defensively. But he was so bad at the plate that you had to replace him with Ha-Seong Kim, who is good in his own right. You can make good arguments for Mookie Betts. You can make an argument for Dansby Swanson again. I'm going to go with Mason Wynn. I know the defensive run saved, don't love him, but he's plus 17 fielding run value. The arm is ridiculous. He is like a pitcher arm, outfielder arm, but he's playing shortstop. Only plus 3 defensive run save. So I get it. There's other better options if you're strictly looking at that, but he has played 1,100 innings in the field. That's, top half, plus 3 defensive run save, like I said. And he has the fear factor in a way, not the same as an outfielder, but the hose means you got to get out of the box really fast. And I think sometimes that's not going to go into the numbers when you're in the batter's box. Oh man, if I hit a ground ball, I got to be on my P's and Q's to get to first base because Mason Wynn's going to throw me out. So I think that sort of fear factor maybe gives him a +1 boost, if you will.
Yeah, I also have Mason Wynn at shortstop. I considered Nick Allen. I considered Joey Ortiz. Heck, I even considered Trey Turner a little bit. But, it's funny because, like, people always – like, National League East fans, they see Trey Turner and they're like, oh, God, he's starting to lose it. He's a little washed maybe. But he's actually 16 outs above average this year. I think Wynn is kind of – I think he's the choice here because, like you said, he has an insane arm. I remember – when he was in the Futures game, he was throwing balls 100 miles per hour across the diamond.
And making older baseball fans angry.
I know, yeah. They're like, oh, my God, make errors, whatever. 22 outs above average. I mean, if you want strong throwing arms, have you seen Ellie De La Cruz? I mean, who unfortunately, I mean, I love watching Ellie play, but unfortunately, he's actually below average by some metrics. But, yeah, I think Wynn runs away with this one. Now we will slide over to left field. There aren't a ton of contenders, I feel like, here. I lean Isaac Collins here from Milwaukee. Again, you can go with Collins. You could also consider Harrison Bader, who's a natural center fielder playing left field. But he also spent most of the year in the American League. So I think by default, it goes to Collins because there really aren't a lot of contenders. There aren't a lot of strong fielders in left field, respectfully.
Yeah, and this is one of the goofy ones that the metrics are just totally split on. So I would lean Ian Happ. He's +8 defensive run saved, but -1 fielding run value. So there's not really a good option because even Isaac Collins is way down the list on among left fielders in terms of fielding run value, and it's not even it's just tough. Sometimes you have a position that's weaker, and in this case it's left field. And this is one of the years that the old format of just choosing 3 outfielders would probably yield the best results, because I don't think any left fielder really deserves to be that a Gold Glover. And to cover the bases, Isaac Collins is +1 defensive run saved in left field this season.
Yeah, and reality is, and I'm looking at the center field leaderboards right now, there are 2 or 3 center fielders that I think could easily be a Gold Glover. But because you have to go position by position, a few of them, only one can actually win hardware. And I think there's an easy answer here. Pete Crow Armstrong, I know that his bat has tailed off in the second half, but by all metrics, he's easily the best defensive center fielder in the National League. You can make a case he's the best major league center fielder. I know Cedon Rafaela has had a great year in Boston, even though they keep putting him in the infield for some reason. But yeah, PCA, another platinum glove contender.
Absolutely. And he is so good defensively that it has kept me maintaining he was the MVP for like 2 months, even after he stopped hitting. I've moved off, unfortunately, but +19 fielding run value, +15 defensive run saved. I think that's a easy conversation. Shout out Victor Scott. He's been tremendous in center. Shout out Jacob Young. He's been tremendous in center. Obligatory shout out to Michael Harris. He's still very good in center. Brenton Doyle is still very good in center, but PCA stands a cut above.
Yeah, and I like I said, I know his bat has fallen off, but he does enough with the glove where the Cubs have to keep him in the lineup every single day. And I know Jacob Young for Washington is another guy where like he provides very little with the bat in his hands, but with his speed and defense, he gets an at bat basically every single day. And we're gonna move over to right field to round things out. Or I guess, do you have a pitcher pick too? Because
I can make a pitcher pick. That's not a problem.
All right. Well, I say we wrap it at right field then.
Sure. With all due respect to Spencer Schwellenbach, who would have run away with the Gold Glove.
Obviously you still get an accolade on your baseball reference sheet, and you do get your hardware. We're going to go to right field here. It's harder to pick a pitcher Gold Glove award. Obviously, like with Silver Sluggers, it was different, I feel like, when pitchers still got those. But I actually think there is a bit of a conversation in right field. Just looking by the different metrics, there are two contenders here, I think. And I'm going with Fernando Tatis Jr. I know he is actually a step behind Corbin Carroll in terms of outs above average, but he has 18 defensive runs saved, and his arm is, I think, one of the best in the majors. He's just, I would not want to run on him ever. Although today he made a kind of a mistake overthrowing the cutoff man. But I think in terms of checking all the boxes playing right field, going from being a shortstop to playing right field at an elite level is really impressive. And Tatis just keeps doing it. So he's my Gold Glover in right field.
Yep, and I agree. 2023, he was the Platinum Glove. He was like ridiculous defensively. He wasn't quite as good last year, but this year
he was insane in 23. I remember.
Yeah, this year he's been a plus. He's +9 fielding run value, tied for most among all right fielders with Willie Abreu, and he's +18 defensive runs saved. That's also tied for first, but this time with Adolis Garcia. So I think that's a pretty cut and dry for me in right field.
Yeah, so those are our 9 guys. We had largely identical lists, although we did have some differences. But let's move over to the dish. We're talking about Silver Sluggers. Let's start getting behind the plate. I'm going with Will Smith from the Dodgers. I know that he has sort of slumped in the second half and he's been banged up, but we're talking about a guy who's still really good offensively. He has an OPS a shade over 900. He's at 901. He's still a 153 WRC plus. So I understand that he does not qualify for the batting title right now, but I think he makes up for it with his rate stats. So he's my pick for catcher.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me, honestly, because as someone of an award snob, right, I want to reward players for playing a full season and for, getting that 501 plate appearances to, qualify for the batting title. But Will Smith is lapping the field here, quite literally, that his Fangraphs offensive metric is 24.3. That is more than twice anyone else. Hunter Goodman is second at 11.2. So, he's been the best offensive catcher in the National League. But does he have the volume? I think he does. He's at 436 plate appearances. I think that's totally fine. Hunter Goodman has 30 home runs. That's awesome. So if you want to rule out Smith because he doesn't qualify for the batting title, for catchers, I can be more lenient, I'll say. Like second baseman, yeah, you need to qualify. Or third base, yeah, you need to qualify. But I'll go Will Smith, but if you disqualify him because he doesn't have enough plate appearances, Hunter Goodman's a fine pick. 30 homers, 7 RBI, or 87 RBI, hitting 280 as a catcher. That's nice. 528 slug. He does play at Coors, but a 120 WRC plus entering play today. So,
yeah. So, I mean, that's the thing is that Goodman's had a nice offensive season. He's been a bright spot on a Rockies team that has done a lot of losing this year. He was their all-star game representative and deservingly so, actually. I mean, his numbers don't lie. He was a good catcher, and offensive catchers, they've been hard to come by, I feel like, over the years. And Will Smith, before he got hurt, was in the running for the batting title. It's been a while since we've had a batting champion that was a catcher. I believe Buster Posey in 2012 was the last one. But let's move over to first base, where I think there is some discussion to be had. 3 or 4 worthy contenders here. Who do you lean here? Alonso went deep today, I know, so his numbers are up a little bit. Who do you have at first base?
I do think Alonso is probably the pick. Of course, you can make a strong argument for all 4 of these guys. Maybe Harper a little less so because he missed about 25 extra games compared to Alonso and Olsen. Olsen does lead in WRC plus entering play today. Of course, Alonso homered today. Olsen and the Braves are off, so that number will fluctuate a little bit. Olsen leads in offensive rating by very marginal amount. So Alonso and Olsen, I think, are the cut above. Not only do you have the equivalent, OPS, equivalent OPS plus, they're all, in the same ballpark here. They played an extra 2 weeks compared to Freeman and an extra month compared to Harper. So Alonso or Olsen, flip a coin. If you care about home runs and RBI more so, you can go Alonso. If you care more about on base, you can go Olsen. I think either one's fine. Maybe Olsen would have a better case if he gets to 30 home runs, gets to 40 doubles, gets to 100 RBI. That probably helps him out. While Freeman and Harper have had great seasons, but not quite up to Alonso and Olsen.
Yeah, I think Alonso is who I lean to. Like I said, he went deep today, so his OPS is actually up above 870 again. His OPS plus, it's the highest it's been since 2022, and third highest mark of his career. And if you wouldn't believe it, this would be his first Silver Slugger if he did win it. I believe he lost out to Freddie Freeman in his rookie year. So this is his chance right here. He's taking advantage of having Juan Soto hitting in front of him. 121 RBIs and 37 homers. He's homered in 4 straight games. I know he's had a couple like prolonged cold streaks, just like his team, but he's been he hasn't really always hit cleanup, but he's been the quintessential cleanup hitter this year, I feel like. So second base, I feel like there isn't much of a conversation here.
Mm-hmm.
Can we agree here? Ketel Marte is the runaway?
Yeah, I agree. And we could have the same conversation we had at catcher, but Marte is qualified for the batting title. So that, that's a big plus for him. Bryce Turing has been great. He's played just about every game, 620 plate appearances, 123 or WRC plus. And I don't know traditionally if stolen bases, base running counts as offensive production in this case, but if it does, he and Nico Horner are two of the best base runners in the game, while Marte's been decidedly below average this season. So maybe that makes it a little bit closer, but I would go Marte.
Yeah, and I know Marte hasn't been as elite as he was last year, but he's still, for a position that doesn't have a lot of offense right now, I think he's the answer here. And we can move over to the hot corner. And again, it's a weird year in the National League. I feel like there isn't a real standout at third base with the bat in their hands. But who do you have at the hot corner?
Unfortunately, like you said, it's not much of a conversation. It's Max. Or, I wish it was Max Muncy because he was awesome.
I was considering Max Muncy, but his volume is it's too low.
Yeah, Manny Machado has 270 extra plate appearances on Muncy. That's a pretty clear gap. And yes, Muncy has a higher WOBA, higher WRC plus. He's right behind him in offensive rating, but it's Machado, 26 homers, 92 RBI. He's going to flirt with the 3,100 season. He's played just about every game, if not every single game for the Padres. And I have no qualms. Muncy and Suarez had great cases. They both have WRC pluses over 140 in the National League. I know Suarez has struggled in Seattle, but when you kneecap your competition like that, and then Chapman has missed an extra 30 games compared to Machado. He's at a 123 WRC plus. Brett Beatty, 123 games played. Caleb Durbin, 127 games played. And really in a year that Austin Riley is going to miss 60 games, Mark Vientos has missed a chunk of the season. There's not really a competition with Machado, frankly.
Yeah, and I watched Machado yesterday hit a grand slam off David Peterson. He's just, I was thinking about this earlier. He makes everything he does on a baseball field look so easy. I know that people have their issues with him not hustling and openly saying he doesn't hustle, but he's so smooth in the field and at the plate. He's a really nice swing. 26 homers, 92 RBIs. And I was just thinking about this earlier today. We're looking at a guy who could hit 500 homers. He's at 368 right now. He's also the active leader in grand slams. Yesterday was the 14th of his career. The major league record is A-Rod with 25. So Manny is in his early 30s. He's 33 now. There's a chance we're looking at that record come down eventually. But we're going to move over to his shortstop, and this is a surprise to me. We Mets fans were all kind of up in arms when this guy was an all-star 2 years ago because, frankly, he wasn't fully deserving. But this guy, he's really underrated this year. I feel like Geraldo Perdomo. What can I say about this guy? If you told me before this season he'd be almost 40% better than league average offensively, I would have thought you were going crazy. In addition to his glove, we're talking about a guy who's at a 6.7 F4 this year. And he could drive in 100 runs. He's at 97 with 19 homers. This was a guy who never hit for power coming into this year. But yeah, 19 homers, 26 steals, 97 RBIs, 29 doubles, 5 triples. This is a guy who could be 20, 30, 100. So is he your pick too?
Absolutely, man. He's loading up the stat sheet, if you will. And I like to see a 13% walk rate from your shortstop. Like, that doesn't grow on trees. He has a higher walk rate than a strikeout rate, believe it or not. That's like Luis Ariz territory. A 171 ISO. That is above Ellie De La Cruz. Like, Ellie, that guy who hits tanks. So I know Ellie had the big
who has
power.
hit one home run since July or something.
True, but still, Perdomo takes it for me, a 138 WRC plus entering play today, a little bit ahead of Turner and Lindor, who, by counting stats, you can make a strong argument for Lindor: 27 homers, 30 steals, 105 runs scored. That's fine. Billy Adames has a counting stat argument. He has 28 homers, 88 RBI or 88 runs, 82 RBI. But I think Perdomo is the pick this year, so congratulations.
Yeah, and again, coming into this year, I would not have guessed that he would be the National League Silver Slugger. But it's hard to take away what from him, what he's done this year. But let's move over to the outfield. So in the outfield, unlike Gold Gloves, it's just 3 outfielders. So you don't have to see like a left fielder, a right fielder, etc. So in the National League, I think, to start, there are 2 guys who are clear-cut winners here. Juan Soto and Corbin Carroll. I think those 2 guys, do you have any argument against those 2?
I'm not sure as Carroll has 100% lock, but I'm good with Soto.
Okay. Because I look at things this way. Carroll is about to have a 30-30 season. He's at about a 140 WRC plus. You put it all together, this is a 6-win guy at the plate. And then Soto, obviously, we don't have to go over. It's Soto.
Yeah.
Despite all the naysayers, he's at a 155 WRC plus entering today. He's tied his career high with 41 homers. He drove in his 100th run today and stole his 33rd base. Yeah,
he's pretty good. He's pretty good.
Yeah. So, all right. So, who are your other 2 outfielders then?
So, from this volume perspective, if you appreciate volume, you can look at Fernando Tatis, James Wood. They've played 148 and 149 games respectively. A 129 WRC plus for Tatis, a 120 OPS plus for 125 for James Wood. If you care more about the raw triple slash, Carroll 139 WRC plus, Kyle Tucker 139 OPS or WRC plus. Unfortunately, my guy Ronald clears everybody, but didn't play in enough games, so tough scenes. I would lean with Carroll and Tucker as the superior offensive options. I wouldn't knock someone for saying Tatis and Wood, though. I think Carroll and Tucker have played enough. They're both going to clear 600 plate appearances. Like you said, Carroll's going to be 30-30. Tucker's going to be right around 25-25 with absurd efficiency as a base stealer. He's walking 15% of the time, a 200 ISO. Carroll's at a 286 ISO, slugging 545. Like, that's awesome. So I'd go Soto with Carroll and Tucker right behind.
Yeah, so I have Carroll as my second outfielder. The tough part for me was deciding on a third outfielder. Before he got hurt, Kyle Stowers had a compelling case, I think. 148 WRC plus. I mean, this is a guy who's really broken out this year. He really deserved that All-Star game nod. Tatis, again, he's been great this year. Wood has really struggled in the second half, and Kyle Tucker, it's unfortunate because he just caught fire after a brutal slump where he hit a home run for about 2 months. He was just catching fire and then he got hurt. But I guess putting it all together, I have to go with Tucker. By offensive value, he's the 3rd best outfielder in the National League behind Corbin Carroll and Juan Soto. So Tucker gets it. I really, really wanted to give this to Stowers. But I think from a volume perspective, he's missed 6 weeks now, and he's not going to qualify for the batting title. So I'm going to go with Tucker, Carroll, and Soto.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, there's one more spot to go, the designated hitter. Is this much of a conversation?
Sorry, Philadelphia fans. It's not. And listen, you could have had me if it was 100 years ago, I'm just kidding because you can't. Ohtani's been unbelievable. 51 homers. So if your big case is like in the American League with the MVP race, if your case is the home runs and RBI, well, the home runs are pretty even in the National League. American League, Cal has a bit of a lead there.
Yeah.
The RBI, yeah, sure. Schwarber has 33 more entering play today. Ohtani scored 31 more runs batting
He
leadoff.
also bats leadoff. Yeah.
It's insane. If you care about batting average, Ohtani wins by 39 points right now. On base, 24 points. Slugging, Kyle Schwarber's calling card, he's about 50 points behind Ohtani. Even in ISO, he's 8 points behind Ohtani. So Ohtani is everything Schwarber wants to be and more. He's stolen about twice as many bases. If you care about that, he's a much better base runner. It's Ohtani.
Yeah, Ohtani, and obviously we're not discussing the big awards today, but he's going to run away with the MVP.
And join Barry Bonds as the only players with 4.
Respectfully to all the other contenders, including Juan Soto and Kyle Schwarber, and you could even consider PCA here. This is Ohtani by a lot. Anyways, so those are our Silver Sluggers. Let us know if you agree or disagree with us at LAR_baseball on Instagram and Twitter. But anyways, I have a trivia segment prepared for Splash. So today's theme, we came on the air talking about Clayton Kershaw and his excellent career. So today we are going to do an exercise. Clayton Kershaw has faced all 30 teams in his career. His first time ever facing the Orioles was about a week ago, or I guess 2 weeks ago at this point. But he has beaten 29 of the 30 teams.
Okay.
What I'm going to have you do, Splash, is name every team he's beaten until you figure out who the only team is that he hasn't beaten.
Okay. Before this is an immediate troll, did you mean he's beaten 28 of 29 teams?
He's faced every team except for the Dodgers.
Okay. That was going to be the I think I know what team he hasn't beaten yet.
But he's beaten 28 of the 29 teams he's faced.
Okay.
If you name the team, then the trivia segment is over. I don't know if that's a win or a loss. I think that's a win.
Yeah. I think I have to go 28 for 28 for it to be a win.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right. I'm going to just assume he's beaten the Giants.
Correct. That is the second most. He's beaten them 27 times.
Okay. Diamondbacks,
16.
Padres will clear out the rest of the division. Diamondbacks, Padres, Giants, Rockies.
Correct. So the Rockies, he's beaten the most 29 times. 29-11 lifetime. Padres 24-11. Diamondbacks 24-12.
Okay. And does this include playoffs?
No.
Okay. All right. National League Central, Pirates, Reds, Cubs, Brewers, and Cardinals.
Correct. So Cardinals 12-6, Cubs 10-4, Brewers 9-6, Reds 8-2, only 4-3 in 14 starts against the Pirates.
Okay. PNC merchant, apparently. All right. Braves, Marlins, Mets, Phillies, and Nationals.
Yep. So 11-0 lifetime against the Mets in the regular season, 2.15 ERA. Yeah, he kind of cut them up. What is it? Where am I looking for? I'm looking for the Braves. 6-1, 13 career starts, 2.49 ERA against the Braves. Only 4-7 with the 2.7 ERA against the Phillies. Which is kind of crazy. 14-3 with a 2.3 ERA against the Nationals. And 7-5 with a 2.8 ERA in 15 starts against the Marlins.
All right. American League. So we got to go 14 for 15 here. Minnesota Twins.
The Minnesota Twins. He's 1-1 in 2 career starts against them. 1.64 ERA.
I believe his win was the game Dave Roberts pulled him.
Correct.
7 perfect innings. All right. We're going to go. I think I'll clear out the AL Central. If I hit a mine here, fine. Cleveland, Detroit, Kansas City, and the White Sox.
All right. So, 2-1, 6 career starts against the White Sox. 2-0 in 2 career starts, including a complete game against the Royals. 1-0 in 5 career starts against the Guardians. 1-0 with a .47 ERA, including a shutout against the Tigers.
Not bad, not bad. All right. I'll go Astros.
Yes, the Astros. They were a National League team at one point, so this makes sense.
Helps. That helps.
9 career starts, 4-2 with a 2.23 ERA.
All right, I'm gonna go Mariners.
Mariners, yep, 4-0 in 5 career starts, 2.03 ERA.
I'll go Orioles.
Orioles, yep, they were the last team other than the one team he hasn't beaten. He's 1-0 with a 3.18 ERA in 1 career start.
Okay, I will go Rangers, his hometown team.
Yep, hometown team, 1-1 in 2 career starts with a 2.25 ERA.
All right, getting close here. The A's.
The A's, 5 career starts, 1-0 with a 1.34 ERA.
Angels.
Yes, the Angels, he faced plenty, 10-2 with a 2.32 ERA, including 1 complete game and 17 starts.
There you go. Let them cook. Toronto.
Toronto, again, another team, hasn't faced a ton, but 3-0 in 3 career starts with a 2.84.
Tampa.
Tampa, yep, 3-0 with a 3.56 in 5 career starts.
All right. Am I at 26 teams?
I believe so.
Okay. So we got Astros, Rangers, Mariners, A's, and did I clear out the National or the AL West? Astros, Rangers, Mariners, A's.
Yeah, you cleared it. You cleared out the West.
Okay, great. Then we got Toronto, got Tampa, Baltimore, New York, Yankees.
New York, 1-1 with a 1.85 ERA in 5 career starts.
All right. Do I have any more to guess?
Let me double check right now.
Wonderful. Do 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 do.
Well, congratulations. You have cleared every team except the one that he did not beat.
All right. That would be the Boston Red Sox.
Correct.
my logic here is obviously the National League, just volume there. American League. Before recent years, the Dodgers obviously did not play every team in the American League every season. So besides the Angels, because that was they played them a lot. So my thought was maybe the years the Red Sox were good happened to coincide with the years they played the Dodgers. And I know he struggled against them in the playoffs back in 2018. So Red Sox, you're the winner here.
Yep, 0-1 with a 7.71 ERA and 1 career start against the Red Sox, at least in the regular season. They also beat him in the postseason a couple times. So
that helps.
Yeah. Wow. Congratulations. You went 28 for 28.
Let me cook.
Without ever guessing the Red Sox, which is pretty crazy.
Nice.
If you wouldn't believe it, the only time that he's faced of the Red Sox in the regular season was also this year. He got beat by Garrett Crochet at Fenway Park.
Okay.
So, yeah. If you
my logic was totally incorrect. Wonderful.
Yeah, no, it's funny because I was just trying to check the game logs, and you can't really sort that like by full career on Baseball Reference. But yeah, I know he had the 2 career starts in the World Series in 2018. And yeah, I guess this was his first regular season start against the Red Sox this year. It was crazy to me to think also he hadn't faced the Orioles coming this year because he's been this is his 18th year in the league. You would have thought at some
just
point,
like once, right?
Yeah,
just like
even
a random
before,
Tuesday night at Chavez Ravine, or like a Sunday matinee game against the Orioles at Camden Yards.
Yeah, exactly. So, wow, that was impressive.
All right.
I was really testing you to see if you would accidentally fall in the landmine.
Yeah, the bright side, there's only one
Yeah,
And then with my
exactly.
flawed logic, I avoided it. So yeah, I like that. I'll have to
All right.
I'll have to pull one on you next time.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right.
Anyways, it's time for the moment to ourselves. So 60 seconds or so to talk about whatever the heck is on your mind. So, Splash, you want to go first or second? Or
Sure, I can go first.
all right, let me just get my stopwatch. All right, your time starts in 3, 2, 1, begin.
Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, I have a quick aside about Lamar Jackson. If you're saying he's stat padding against the Browns, please look yourself in the mirror. The conversation last week at this time was the Ravens are chokers. The Ravens take their foot off the gas. The Ravens they don't play aggressive. Well, 7 days later, they are aggressive in a situation that kind of leans being aggressive. They throw a touchdown on 2nd and 10. And the outrage is, oh, Lamar's a stat patter. This is why Allen's going to win the MVP. Look at Allen. He didn't play the fourth quarter against the Jets, yada, yada. Like, did you watch the game? The Browns held Henry and Hill to 30 yards on 14 carries. Henry had nothing going almost the entire day. There's a point in the game he was 6 carries for 6 yards. He even fumbled earlier in the game. I would understand your point if it was on first down, if Henry was having a good game, or Hill was having a good game, or Keaton Mitchell, or Rasheen Ali, whoever you want as the third running back, was having a good game, or if it wasn't against the Browns, who have beaten the Ravens each of the last 2 seasons, or if the Ravens hadn't just blown a 2-score lead with 5 minutes to go against the Bills the week before. So, yes, I understand that the optics, he throws a touchdown up 30, or to give him a 30-point lead. You know what? Defend it then, or maybe be worse at defending the run. The Browns were excellent against the run. They held Henry in a coffin the entire day. Justice Hill has been miserable to start the season. The Ravens also can't run block to save their lives at the moment. They can't pass block to save their lives either. So Lamar has been, I don't know how he does it. These first 2 weeks, the Ravens are like 31st in composite pass block rankings. I don't know, man. Lamar's the MVP. Rinse, wash, repeat.
Yeah, and even like the Browns game, I mean, I thought he dominated them. I mean, it's just that. I mean, you can't even pin that. I mean, you can't even pin the Bills game on him. Like he's. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's going to be another battle, I think, between him and Allen for the MVP.
Maybe like if the Packers go 14-3 or 15-2, maybe Jordan Love enters the conversation.
I know, dude. It feels like it's almost always a quarterback. That's the issue.
Yeah,
I can't remember. I mean, seriously, that's the thing is that like winning MVP in the NFL is something other than a quarterback. It's like darn near impossible.
It's like Adrian Peterson in 2012. But like growing up, you saw some running backs win it. Like 05, Sean Alexander, 06. You had LaDainian Tomlinson. It's like, okay, well, maybe there's a shot. And then 2014, even you had a defensive player in the conversation with JJ Watt. And I mean, since then it's been like Cam in a runaway, Matt Ryan in a runaway, Brady in a runaway, Mahomes in a runaway, Lamar.
That's the fact that Matt Ryan won it. Like nothing against the guy, but like when I think of MVPs, I don't immediately think of Matt Ryan as an MVP winner.
And even if you said like, okay, the 2016 Falcons, if you pinpointed them preseason and said who will be the best player on this team,
Julio
Jones.
Yeah, I mean,
all pro, not the MVP. Vic Beasley had like 16 sacks and was an all pro, but he didn't win MVP. It was Matt Ryan. So the MVP discourse. Somehow, baseball fans, it's even worse in other sports.
Oh, I mean, last year I thought Saquon also had an argument, but
I thought Henry was better, but that's neither here nor there.
I mean, I know it hurts as a New Yorker to say that Saquon had an argument, but he did.
Yeah, he was great last season. Worse than Henry.
Yeah, I know.
I don't even. Man. All righty, Mac. I'll count you down.
All right. Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah, respectfully, I hope Caleb Johnson learned the rules rules of football after he muffed that punt. I'll start off by saying that, but really, I do want to sort of expound on what I said at the beginning of the show. The fact that the Mets broke 3 million fans despite a lot of losing this summer and still getting 41,000 plus every game, I think it does speak volumes to what Steve Cohen has done as owner. I mean, I remember there were so many years going to games late in the season where it was basically a graveyard. at Citi Field, and now every time I go, it feels like it's basically a full house, and the fans want it. And I hope they eventually get it. I don't know if it'll happen this year, but I see the vision. I see the vision David Stearns is going for. This is a team that's run by fans of the team. So, yeah, hopefully, even if they have an early exit this year, hopefully the attendance continues to go up next year. And B, I really hope yesterday wasn't the last time I'm there this year, because I've had a lot of fun going to games this year. So, yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah, I wish I had excitement watching baseball this year.
It comes and goes.
Yeah.
162 game season. Sometimes you wake up and you're like, oh yeah, I can't wait to watch my team. And other times you're like, I'm gonna go do something else. But yeah, that's
at least Matt Olson and Ronald Acuna have been great this season, and Drake Baldwin could win the NL Rookie of the Year, although Kate Horton shoved that in everyone's face a couple weeks ago. So, what do you do?
Exactly, it's tough. But anyways, that's it for us today. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. Follow Splash at Mr. Splashman19. Alex isn't here, but follow Alex at the Sports Guy 242. Follow myself at Matthias_A_K. And of course, follow the collective account at LAR_baseball. All sorts of good things coming out of that. And of course, make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube at Losses Above Replacement. Follow us on Spotify. Leave us a 5-star review. Leave us a like on YouTube. If you like it, you disagree with us, you don't like it, let us know. And we surely will respond to you cordially. But anyways, thank you all for listening. Stay safe, and I hope to see you all real soon.